because people care about your well-being. Well, look, man, like, I can handle, look, look, man, here's the thing, all right, so this is like an interview, right? This is the loot logic that they have, okay? And I'm really curious about this. Let me pause it. People have asked me to watch this for like a week and a half. So, we're gonna watch this.
Ladies and gentlemen, you might be wondering, who is this guy? Who's that guy? That's the guy who made badges in the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King.
That's the guy. See that? That's the guy that made badges. Let's give a round of applause right now. I'm actually not going to do that because that's a little bit stupid. But, like, this is what we've been waiting for. Like, this guy, does he still work at Blizzard? Is he wearing a Diablo shirt? What the fuck happened? No, there's no way that's a Diablo shirt. Who is the guy? Travis Day. I'm going to look this guy up on Google. Fucking cock. Travis Day. Just 1 second here. Leaves Blizzard. Oh. They said no badges and he left.
Guy! There he is! And loot has obviously been a hot topic recently with World of Warcraft, certainly on the channel. A lot of people dissatisfied with BFA's loot system. They find it very confusing. Yeah. It has all sorts of problems. We talked about, you might remember the old Gear Monster, about how there are many elements
the Ghostbusters.
Of the whole gearing system that people had a problem with. So who better? And I want to give big shout outs to Sergey here, who contacted me this evening saying, do you know the dude responsible for World of Warcraft's reward structure for a long time actually did a full talking about randomized loot, talking about deterministic loot, where you know what you're going to get, the pros and cons, the lessons Blizzard learnt, the changes they made, including Warforged, Titanforged, that came from that. Did you know that? I did not. Now, this thing is here. This is Travis Day.
Okay.
Working for Blizzard. This is from 2017, I believe. Yeah, 2017 at the GDC event. It's an hour long. Well, it's actually 50 minutes long. There's 10 minutes of Q&A. I've watched through this thing twice. I'm obviously not going to sit here and blast you with a 1 hour video. I will link it down below, and I strongly encourage you guys to watch this because I'm going to have some faith in you guys here, because I'm going to point out some highlights that are relevant to our recent discussions. But context is everything. Context is crucially important. People try and take me out of context all the time, and anybody who has a public voice,
really,
it's easier to chop out the important things to make it suit your needs. So
that never happens.
Truly encourage you to watch this. I'm going to try and give you context for everything he said. Like I said, I've watched through this twice, so I'm going to be as honest and genuine as possible, but your interpretation of things might be different from my interpretation of things. I'm not really talking about whether you like what he's saying or dislike what you're saying, just how you interpret what he's saying. So sometimes he's going to be talking about World of Warcraft, because he worked on World of Warcraft seemingly here.
Oh, yo, what's up, Nixium? How you doing, man? Yo, I think you gifted subs in my stream like a week ago or something. I didn't say thanks. Thank you, dude. I forgot about that. Thank you very much.
It's all about like Mr. Pandaria, and then moved over to the Diablo 3 team during the development of the Reaper of Souls expansion because they were having trouble with their loot system. So you can see he's wearing the Diablo t-shirt there.
They sure were.
Looks like Diablo to me. And so that's the history. So he does mention Legion. No mention of BFA at this point. It's 2017. There will be talk of legendary items. There is talk of Titanforging on the Warforging system and why that came about. And I think you're going to find this really interesting. So we're going to move. Let's do this a little bit. I'm going to try and give him to tell a story. So he's going to tell us a story now about drip feeding rewards. Something that has been a big concern in the community for a while now. Is drip...
Oh, that's the target audience. They just say it. Yo, Walter, thank you very much for the 20 subs, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you. Oh, sorry, not Walter, Waterloss. I feel like I probably should learn how to say people's names. Thank you very much, Waterloss. I really appreciate the 20 subs. Thank you, dude. It means a lot. Thank you, man. Okay.
Feeding rewards. And I think I'm going to go to about here. And he's going to tell a story of two groups of kids. So I'm going to let him tell it. I want to go to about here.
Okay. Games. So anytime I talk about the importance of maintaining rewards, I usually tell the story of the overjustification effect and the decades of research.
What are your thoughts on Apple buying Blizzard? That seems like bullshit. This is it? An analyst suggested that they should buy it? Like that this is... There's one analyst at JP Morgan that says this should happen? And all right.
Research done on the topic. Generally, the story that I like to share is one of two small groups of children. Group one is set down at a table with crayons and told, we're going to pay you $0.25 for every picture you color us.
Okay.
Group two is also set down at a table with crayons and paper and said, feel free to draw. So the first group of children will continue coloring for far longer than the second group, but at any point that the payment stops, if you stop giving them $0.25 for the pictures, they'll stop coloring. This is similar to the effect we see in video games all the time, where players are usually carried through a game, whether through leveling or progression of some variety, and often once a player reaches a certain point, that reward mechanism disappears, whether it's you stop gaining experience or whatever carried you through the system stops moving you forward.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the thing, is that's completely right. I mean, come on, guys. Like, it's like that. All right. It's totally true, right? I mean, like, you plateau out on gear and then you stop playing the game. That's why I always said that leveling should be like the meta for like casual players, right? That's why it was good in vanilla and like BC and Wrath and shit, because people never hit 80, and so they just kept getting the rewards over and over and over. Travis Day is in Dalamar the Warrior? Shit. Okay.
Pause.
Sorry, I haven't done this in presentation
Pause,
mode.
please. Spacebar. Okay, so what he's talking about here is, it's a little ropey on this, because I did read up on this subject, because I hadn't heard of it referred to as the overjustification effect. But what he's talking about clearly, as you can hear there, is a group of people will play a game or do an activity, but if you keep rewarding them, they'll play for way, way longer than the first team, right? So you've got these two separate groups of people. One is just doing it for fun, for as long as they care about it. They're going to play for way less.
So people don't play video games for fun.
The guys who are being drip-fed rewards and keep getting rewarded for doing the thing, either that be experience or gear or whatever, they're going to keep playing for longer. However, they will immediately stop, pretty much, when they stop getting rewarded. So you have this kind of back and forth. What you might have is a group of people, and this is what's clearly in the literature here, is that maybe they're not actually having that much fun. They might be enjoying themselves a little bit, but not having as much fun as the guys who had the freedom to get up and leave if they wanted to, but they, you know, some people will stick around for a really long time. Thank you very much for the 5 subs, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. But they do like the reward.
Thank you so much.
As soon as the reward stops, they're absolutely not going to continue in any way, shape, or form. And if you want people, obviously, from a business perspective, to keep people playing, you need to keep rewarding them. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? And this is not...
That's true. But you need to have people make sure that they're having fun. Is because there's going to be points in that feedback loop where they're not getting fed. And you have to make sure that they're fat enough to get from point A to point B without starving and quitting. And that's what's going to happen. And that's where the fun comes in. So, like, it's true about the rewards, but rewards aren't everything.
Something that I'm bashing Blizzard for, this is a very normal thing. It's an extremely normal thing that's applied absolutely everywhere. But it does make you understand why we have drip feed reward systems. So
play a game, get rewards.
Analogy in BFA's terms would be the emissary system, which, as your item level increases, that whole system just bumps itself up to keep spoon-feeding you that little bit more, to keep giving you the carrot on a stick, so to speak. And
I want to say something that might be an unpopular opinion. I think the World Quest emissary rewards should scale up to $395 or maybe even $400 on specific cases, That way it gets more people doing world quests. I think Blizzard has a problem pigeonholing people into doing the same stuff. Okay? No, I know you guys are mad. But like if you're 415, for example, you're like a 415 raider, there's no reason for you to ever go back and do world quests. And I think that world quests are a good feature in the game, and I'd like to see them be relevant for longer. I know, I mean, like, yeah, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I like doing world quests right now because it scales all the way up to 385. You see so many people out there in the world doing them, and it makes it feel more alive. And I think giving people these rewards gets them out and doing shit, and that matters to me. You're the most flip-flop person ever. Okay, all right, this is it. All right, stop everything. Staus, S-T-A-U-S, wave. How have I flip-flopped? Everybody be quiet. Let him get it out. Come on. Can't fucking read what you guys are saying. No, I'm curious. Did he leave? Did he actually leave? There's no way he left. You know what? I'm gonna read his logs right now. Just a minute. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna open up his logs. So okay. Oh, he did say something. So he said, and you've been watching me for a while, man. I expect better from you. You're the most. You said a month ago you hated him. I never said I hated him. And I'm referring to world quests. I think that I've gone on record and said world quests were the most successful feature and best feature of Legion, right? Did I not say that? I mean, I think that I did. You said you hated him. I've never said this. Find me a clip. You know what, Stas? Find me a clip of me saying this, and I will give you $150. I'll PayPal it to you right now. All right, so if you find me a clip of me saying that I hate world quests, there you go. Because I never said that. It never happened. Like, it's not flip-flopping at all. I've always said that I like world quests. Yeah, I mean, first person to do it gets $150. I mean, like, not sarcastically, like, oh, I hate world quests, like, oh, I hate WoW. But, like, actually saying it, legitimately.
The idea is they don't really want you to skip ahead because they know via the data and the research here that when you stop getting rewards, the game ends and that's it. You're kind of stuck. You don't know where to go. Yeah. So the idea is for the average user, and he does make a point in this actually. He doesn't like the term casual, which I was fully thumbs up with. Doesn't like the term casual because it's too nebulous. It doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
The average user isn't going to get the super high item levels. They're not going to reach that level. So they focus on making that game a very steady progression. And he will go on to discuss in later terms how people want to feel rewarded whether they play for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours and don't feel like they're wasting time. Hence why the Paragon system was brought into Diablo, because loot was so hard to get at certain points that was worth getting that people could play for a whole night, 2 nights, 3 nights, not get anything. So the Paragon system was what was justified by the overjustification effect. It's like,
I liked the Paragon system in Diablo, in vanilla Diablo. I didn't like whenever they made it open-ended and it would scale into infinity. I think the Paragon system should have only gone up to like 1,000 or 2,000, and that would have been it. I don't like infinitely scaling things because there was this guy, I think he's like still streaming or something like that, so I can't say anything bad about him and name him. But this guy was fucking obviously account sharing, and he would play all the fucking time. All right, like it was like, 8 in the morning, this guy's playing. It's 8 at night, this guy's playing. It's just insane, right? Oh, Mo Eternal, thank you very much for the gifted subs, man. I forgot to even thank you for that. Thank you so much, dude. I really fucking appreciate it. Thank you. And Waterwise, again, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that. It means a lot. So the guy's just playing the game all the fucking time, and he just has this huge advantage because he's playing all the time. I think that one of the good things about WoW is that you could get to these different apexes, right? These different plateaus and say, okay, I'm good for this week. I like that.
We could still say something like they still gain Paragon levels. That is fully transparent in Legion, the artifact power system, right?
Yeah.
So you can see how these systems go hand in hand. Yeah, you didn't get an upgrade tonight, but the reason we have systems like this is because of this effect. And it's unfortunate that in BFA, and our dude right here, is actually going to say he doesn't like some of the things that happen in World of Warcraft, certainly in Modern Era. And you can almost see, and maybe I'm projecting here.
Really?
When he mentions Titanforging, it's like, ugh. There's kind of like a...
Yeah.
You know, that's not that fun, but there's a reason for it. Okay, so he's going to go on to take responsibility. Again, watch it yourself.
Wow.
Get your own interpretation. I beg of you to do that.
Okay.
Let's go to here. So what
that's what I like to hear.
This slide is going to be super interesting to you. The time we broke the WoW reward structure. Curious, right?
Really?
The time we broke the WoW reward structure. He's
so this is about
badges. Talking about badges. So this is a relatively long section.
Okay.
It's a relatively long section. Let's go to the brief introduction.
Balanced, deterministic, and random, aka that time we broke the WoW reward structure. So I'm going to tell the story of Badges of Justice. This is a story from many, many years ago that some of you may or may not be familiar with.
Okay. So this is the Burning Crusade, as you can see, brings in the Badge of Justice. And some of you are going to go, broke it? This is what he believes was the detriment of this whole thing. So we're actually going to jump ahead a little bit here. Now, I truly want you to watch it. He's talking about they added badges to various sources.
I have to say, I remember sitting with my mom and helping her figure out what item that she was going to buy out of that exact same page. Oh, man. I loved Burning Crusade. I really did. You know, she helped me pay for my epic flying. I didn't think that she did. Honestly, I had forgotten this part. And I was going through some of my Burning Crusade screenshots. And I was... Because I'm going to do the screenshot stream soon. And I found it. Of her trading me, it was like 2,000 gold or something. And she helped Zach pay for his epic flying too. Because she asked him, she's like... Because he'd leave, right? And his birthday was during the school year. And he was only here for the summers. And so he was talking about how much he was trying to farm gold for like epic flying. And she asked him, she's like, Zach, when's your birthday anyway? He's like, oh, you know, it's in like, I don't know, October, right? I forgot when his birthday is. And she's like, well, why don't I just give you an early birthday present and pay for the rest of your flying? And she did. Like, I couldn't even believe it.
Because they couldn't really justify why they didn't have badges. So it's like the addition of Badges of Justice to Karazhan. And then the raid, because Karazhan loot was pretty bad. There are some things left out here, like Karazhan loot was buffed in order to be better. But simultaneously, they added badges to Karazhan because why aren't they giving badges for Karazhan? And then the raiders were saying, well, why aren't we getting badges for raiding? Like, the gear's still pretty good. Like, why are we not getting badges for that? So they started adding badges to everything. And what they ended up with was just nullifying that whole system because everybody was getting flooded with badges. And I'm going to play... This is the longest section of this I'm going to play.
Yeah, that's actually true.
This is about a minute long. And it's the emblem system of World of Warcraft and how he believes that this was a disaster. Now, this will look very familiar to those of you who played.
So this is so fucking stupid, dude. Like, if you didn't play WoW back then, here it is. The blue ones were from ICC. The purple ones were from TOC. The yellow ones were from Ulduar. The purple ones here were from the 25-man raids in the first tier, right? Like Naxxramas and Sartharion and Malagos. And the heroism ones that you got from like the 5-man dungeons and the fucking 10-mans. So you had to deal with 5 different sets of badges trying to put all these together. And, oh, I can get 5 Frost badges this week and 6 Heroism badges this week. And, you know, then by next week I'll be able to get these pieces. So fucking ridiculous. But I'll tell you something right now. I would trade all of the systems that we have now away just to have this back again. Because compared to what we have now, this is fucking nostalgic.
During this time, certainly in Wrath of the Lich King, and the idea they aimed for here is that they had, in TBC, they had one universal currency, which was badges. But that worked for the whole game. So people were buying all sorts of loot. And it was a problem. They consider it a car crash. You consider it a complete disaster that they had this system. In Wrath of the Lich King, the solution to that system, and this is a running theme, and I think it's the big theme of this video, is Blizzard coming up with solutions to problems, right? So they figured the badges are a problem. It doesn't matter whether you agree or not. Blizzard believed it. Or certainly Travis did. That the badges system was too complicated, it was too silly. And then they came up with a solution for that. The problem that doesn't get addressed here is that the initial source of the problem disappears, but the solution to that problem remains. Right? So you've put a solution in place to a problem that no longer exists. And that means that the solution you put in place is counterintuitive to the issue itself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play this
Wow. Okay.
Guys who used to work on this with us. And my thought was, what the hell were we thinking? So this is what badge system looked like during Wrath of the Lich King. There were ultimately 5 different types of badges with 5 different vendors associated with them. And if you could find a badge, you'd have to go to a city and look for like, all right, which of these vendors is the right vendor? And you could downgrade badges in case you...
See, they don't have that anymore because people can't find the vendors. See, I don't know how did WoW work back then. Because now you can't find the vendors. I'm confused. So how are people able to find 5 vendors back then and 0 vendors now? I think Ian's watched Idiocracy a few too many times. Or I guess he's just read the forums.
You missed a set piece you really had to have. It was a train wreck. The whole thing was terrible. So we ended up with way more than we wanted, and ultimately, I don't know, I'm sorry. If you played through this, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I apologize. The whole thing was just a total phrasing, can't say. So, while we were working on all that, we kept getting feedback like, hey, these systems are better, you know, we fixed a lot of problems. Granted, this is 10 years ago us, and we were naive. But I remember Tom coming to me and saying, hey, I still haven't got my set piece, you know, it would be really cool if I could just buy that because I've been trying to get it for 2 months. Why don't we just put the sets on the vendors too? Like, okay, we could put the sets on the vendors too. Why not? We've got 5 different tiers of badges. You know, most players are going to be in.
So you can see the roll of the eyes there. So I believe he's talking about Tom Chilton, who hadn't got his tier set or whatever, and was like, I've been farming this for ages, and I haven't got it. Can we put it on a vendor? And this then leads
personal
this.
bias.
Image up for you here because I think it summarizes it pretty well. Is the snowball effect, and this is where it all starts to collapse because
this is what happened. Right at the beginning, you had 2 pieces, and then I think they went to 3 pieces in like Ulduar or something like that. And then in TOC, you were able to buy the entire set with Valor. And then I think in ICC, it was the same thing. So it got progressively more and more throughout the entire expansion.
Remember, what's about to happen is he's going to describe that everything became pretty much vendor-based. So this would have been around Trial of the Crusader. That's when tier sets and stuff were just had a price tag to them, and they made loot feel like a paycheck. So you would literally be able to sit down and work out when you were going to get all your gear. Like there was no way of getting it any faster. This is when I'm going to get it, and therefore we just played along those rails, and it took all the fun out of loot. I agree. It's one of the reasons I really hate Dragonwrath from the Firelands. If you were part of a guild that was acquiring Dragonwraths for your guild, everybody had a set date of winning because it was all very deterministic on when it would arrive. It was not an exciting moment to get the legendary staff. Like, there's some excitement, sure, but...
What the fuck do you mean? No fucking way, man! That's not true at all, dude. I mean, like, can't you use that same logic with Atiesh? Most people say it was the best legendary ever. Yeah, people can plan things out and work towards it. Like, what's the problem with that? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so boring for me to get my legendary staff that makes me a living fucking god and gets me invited to 2,500 RBGs, even though I've never even queued for Arathi Basin before. And I can be a fucking dragon, by the way. And I'm at the top of the damage meters. And there's dragons in Stormwind. And I'm floating on the disc because it's me with the fucking staff. Yeah, it's the best legendary they ever fucking made. It was awesome. Come on, man. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, of course it's not like some, oh, wow, I wonder if I'm going to get it or not. But that's even worse, okay? Like, I mean, yes, the glaives were good. I like the glaives. But, I mean, like, that kind of shit only works if it's from the last boss. Because if it's from any other point in the game, then people won't play with you unless you have it. And it turns into a requirement. Dragon Wrath is a realistic version of the best legendary that they could ever make. It's the way it goes.
It was so predetermined, it was so set in stone as to when that would happen, that a lot of the fun, certainly compared to the dropping of a Thunder Fury or the dropping of a Warglaive.
But Thunder Fury was a fucking quest line too. And you just had to get items for Thunder Fury. Like, I mean, you can use the same logic for that. I mean, that's a quest line too. I mean, like, yeah, obviously the Warglaive is different. Thunder Fury is slightly different, but it's basically just a quest line. You needed it to drop. Yeah?
Well, just wasn't there, because you were guaranteed to get it on, like, this date. This is the week I'll get it. There'll be a couple of shards or whatever either side, but it's going to be here. And it won't be before, it won't...
Okay. Some people disagree with me. Let's find some common ground here. I think they both should be in the game. I think the Dragon Wraths should be in the game, and the Warglaive should be in the game. I don't know why it has to be either or. I prefer the Dragon Wrath. Other people prefer the Thunder Fury. Why not both?
Be after, and it makes loot really boring. And this is a solution where they started to randomize loot.
I looked around and realized, okay, we've instead replaced sort of the heart of what it is to kill a boss and the excitement of link the loot with something that sort of felt like a paycheck. We've instead replaced the anticipation of seeing what items dropped and figuring out who gets them with the system of killing a boss, seeing +5 badges, and
Thank
going,
you, Walter,
sweet.
Again.
In 372 badges, I'll have my set, I'll be done.
Oh, shit,
so
thank you so much, Walter.
Let me look at my calendar. Awesome.
Water.
3 months from now, I'll have everything I
Water
want.
loss, thank you.
Once we replaced that sense of anticipation with something that felt like a foregone conclusion, the players stopped being excited about killing the content or doing the raids they'd been doing.
That seems
and
familiar.
Instead felt like we were creating this really grindy system and sort of keeping everything back from them.
Okay, so that probably resonates heavily with you with BFA in terms of the Azerite armor and the heavy grind system. And it is very strange because we're about to lose Travis. He's going to leave World of Warcraft soon and move over. But he does talk to the WoW developers quite a lot, and there's a lot of discussion about that. As you can see, we're only 16 minutes into the video. The issue here is, for me, as I'm listening to this being told, is this is a guy with a ton of experience who's learning a lot as he goes on. And is doing his best. And quite honestly and openly, this is why I really like this. Honestly, openly, says sometimes they were like, fuck it, let's give it a try. And, you know, let's see what happens. But what he is going to bring up here is a crucial, distinct difference between World of Warcraft and Diablo. And that is balance.
I guess he didn't work on Legion.
That is balance. So he's actually going to take us back to vanilla, and I want you to hear his discussion on this. So he does a reasonable talk on Diablo 3. Definitely is relevant to World of Warcraft, but again, I'm trying to point out the highlights.
It is now.
Here,
every feature is in the game.
You guys will immediately be like, I'm interested in this. So he's going to take us back to vanilla to the Ultra Flash Shadow Reflector. I had this. Was tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
Fear and stuff.
These are like PvP videos.
I think that my rogue still has this in his bank. But let's hear what he has to say about what was, and I still fondly remember, as a very cool item.
No Eternal, thank you for 20 gifted subs, man.
Long ago,
thank you so much.
Far away,
Holy fuck,
there were actually items that were so completely untunable that we didn't know what to do with them. This is a screenshot of an old engineering trinket. Some of you may or may not remember this. This would allow you to, on use, reflect a spell back at the caster.
Okay, so the point is there, Blizzard didn't know what to do with these items. And in fact, he goes on to say that they were completely untunable. There was nothing we could do about it. So what was the problem with the Shadow Reflector? Well, his example is a little weak, I would say. Is that some bosses did shadow damage, and the Shadow Reflector could reflect that shadow damage and kill the boss. Which can be fixed in a number of different ways.
Yeah.
But the decision was made way back then, which feels now to me as a player like it was a crippling decision, was that we have to just remove these items from the game, things like this, because they're just too hard to balance. For me, it's more a case...
This is what happened in Mists of Pandaria, is you had every class that had some kind of a way to trivialize a fight, and then the outcome of this ideology and that logic that Blizzard used is WoD, where we lost a lot of our utility abilities, some rotational abilities, and just abilities that made your class feel like it's your class. So it's like, oh, well, we're taking out the things that make the game interesting because that's hard to balance.
Of make them more niche in where they go. Like, do I think that there should be items, for example, that can reflect, you know, a boss ability that kills the boss? No. And in fact, we saw that with Lady Sinestra, and Paragon realized they could put back due to a DK's Dark Simulacrum, they could reflect one of the major boss abilities, and Sinestra would essentially suicide, and they were like instantaneously killed themselves because like, this isn't right. I agree, that's not what it's about. What this is for is obviously for simple things like out in PvP, having fun reflecting a fear or a Shadow Bolt, something along those lines, or a Shadow Word Pain even. That's why we used it as rogues, is we could reflect the Shadow Word Pain, meaning we could get back into stealth. Very good, skillful ability. Not even overpowered. A priest taking its own Shadow Word Pain ain't that bad. And plus, they're fun.
Every 5 minute cooldown.
The reason I wanted to highlight this is this next section here, which is going... Because of this decision, it's like one thing leads to another, right? And this is the theme of what I'm talking about, is one problem, perceived problem, in my opinion, it's a perceived problem, requires a solution. That solution then has problems, which then require another solution. And ultimately, we're so far away from what actually started this chain of events that it doesn't make sense anymore. But
it's like you have a balloon, okay? And you put duct tape over one part of the balloon, and then another hole pops up out of the balloon. Waterwise, thank you much again for the 10 more gifted subs. Then on top of that, you put let's just keep playing the video, okay? Never mind. Thank you very much, Waterwise, for the 10 subs. I was thinking about doing that analogy, but I didn't think it was going to work.
This is definitely relevant.
I realized that halfway through.
Where are we? 2826 is this next one. And this slide will immediately resonate with you, which is items became math problems.
So when we got rid of scaling items, unfortunately, we ended up in a land where our items were just really complicated math problems. This also sort of was the start of where third-party websites like Ask Mr. Robot or Roar sort of came into existence. Where we'd taken all the things that were interesting out of the game to make it more balanceable for us as designers. And the consequence was a player couldn't even look at any two items and figure out, well, which of these is better. We'd replaced things like 2% crit chance with 150 crit rating. Like, what does that even mean? I don't understand a rating. And the end result was no one understood anything, including the developers. Like, if you ask me, like, which of these is better, like, I don't know, probably the one that's higher level, but actually not, because I made it and I split it 3 ways instead of 2 ways. Like, I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Bastard, right?
The developers didn't even know what was going on. That's great.
What they were left with was a game easier to balance, which still had problems, as you guys well know, and you might meme at that. But what it also meant is that it just became a simple maths problem. Now, the issue here is, and he freely admits this because he's asked it in the Q&A, is he truly doesn't believe Blizzard has ever solved this problem. Certainly in World of Warcraft. They've never been able to solve this problem. And someone does ask, is like, someone asked in the Q&A, would you think it was a better idea to have a single value, like item level, which should determine the quality of the item? And he says no, because it should be about fun and things that are interesting.
What's that?
And gameplay changes. Now, you're going to go, gameplay changes? Like,
that'd be fucking amazing.
I agree with you, because this is the problem, that they've been unable to apply this to World of Warcraft. He did get to apply this in Diablo, leading to a lot of Reaper of Souls success. Now, some of you might meme at that, but Reaper of Souls was a big rejuvenation of Diablo 3.
Reaper of Souls was pretty fucking good. The only problem about Reaper of Souls is the game nothing happened after Reaper of Souls came out. The new seasons never developed the game. There was no innovation that occurred beyond the release of the game. And if they continued innovating and making the game better and creating a formal end game to Reaper of Souls, then people would probably still play it. Because it would be amazing by now. It'd be like Path of Exile. You'd have like 8 different in-game features to do, you know, tons of different builds to play, etc. A new season coming out. Okay, this is all the changes. Now all they do is they just rebalance the tier sets every single season, and people are like, wow, I can't believe I can have fun again. It's just ridiculous.
And a lot of people put that down to this stuff, so I'm going to skip that to it here. But it's interesting to me for sure that they were so aware of this problem way back then and have been utterly unable to find a solution, that the game breaks, in their opinion. I don't think it does. I've got to be honest. I don't agree with this. I don't think it does break as much as they make out. Maybe there was other issues I wasn't aware of in vanilla because I was still a bit of a noob. But for me, it just doesn't really feel like it was worth the loss of fun items. No, the game can't be Diablo. Not every stat can be truly amazing and wonderful and interesting. That's not possible. But that does.
They did this in Dragon Soul. They made all of the cool abilities, right? They had, like, Cunning of the Cruel. They had the Vial of fucking Deadly Shadows that had to get nerfed 500 times because it would one-shot people in PvP. It had Girth Talak, the tentacle weapon. You Blade Storm, 15 tentacles. Everybody's dead. You had the Raktharak. It had, like, this little dagger that would just, like, make everything die or whatever the fuck. They already did this in Dragon Soul, and people look back at that shit fondly. And yeah, it wasn't balanced perfectly, but it was fucking cool. And that's what matters. It's the same with Dragon Wrath. It wasn't balanced, but it was cool.
It doesn't mean we have to lose all the RPG elements. It doesn't mean that we can't have some fun stuff. And legendaries in Titanforging will come up here. So this is his thoughts. I wanted to share this because Travis agrees with me, I believe.
I don't even know what that means. It's really easy to make things powerful because, well, numbers say so. But it's a lot more interesting when we could accomplish that same level of power increase in a way that would modify the player's gameplay in some way.
Legendary
Legendary a lot is.
There it is. That's his true belief. His true belief is that it's not fun just because it does bazillion damage. It's easy to do.
I don't know about that.
This has 1,000 crit on it. Hey. Right? It's not interesting. Some players will always find it interesting to do bazillion damage. They'll think that's hilarious and super fun. And none of us really want that because we don't really want class imbalance because, of course, it's a big problem in BFA right now. Is class imbalance is all over the place. So it's a difficult one. And I understand where Blizzard is coming from here, but there's got...
I want to say one thing right now, okay? I want to show you guys something. And this is... It's going to be a bit of an aside, so just be patient here. I want to show you guys what fun looks like. We're scrolling all the way down. Where is it? Where is it? Did they take this video down? Wait, Blizzard took that the YouTube took down another one of my videos. What the fuck? I swear to God. Like, this is so ridiculous. Okay, just one second. Where do I look at my videos? Give me a minute here. I've got to open this up. I want to show you guys a video. What? No, it's not even now. Like, it says it's loading YouTube Studio. There's a video that I had. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I'm scrolling down now. All right, so give me 1 second, guys. This is very important. Just so you know what we're looking for, it's me making a bunch of weird noises. Blocked. Fucking blocked. What a shit fucking... God damn it. Can I even watch the video? Okay, just a minute. Let me see if I can find it. It was in on Nixia's lair. I remember that very clearly. Is it here? Wait, maybe it's not. Did I just waste everybody's time? I think I did. I'm not seeing it here.
Ever seen.
Big dick. Come on, do it right.
Okay,
Yes! Nice! Big dick!
Some things never change. That video came out on 2011. I just figured I'd show that. There was a point where, like, I was whirlwinding a bunch of, like, I did on Ixion, I had the proc, right? And that's just why I had to show, but it's too far gone now. I don't know where it is.
There'll be some leeway somewhere to find, but they haven't been able to find it for years, so maybe not, which is a little bit sad. But we can't ignore the fact that this stuff used to exist.
Yes.
And did exist in a reasonably good way for a while. Like, casting balance wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but is it any better right now? I mean, Legion did the best job ever. There's a couple of things I want to give you here, which would be... the last thing on Titanforging. Now, there is a lot more to this.
This is the important part. Titanforging. That's what I care about.
Yeah. Okay.
So back on the Legion development at this point. So World of Warcraft was also sort of trying to tackle some of these problems. They wanted to recapture a sense that anything can happen, or that you could find awesome items in unexpected places. That sort of was what led to them introducing Titanforged and allowing items to roll increasingly higher level based on
5 more subs. Thank you, man.
They also started tackling their own version of the D3 legendary system. Oops, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to highlight this moment where Blizzard, obviously, at least in terms of deciding on the reward structure, we're feeling, from what I could tell here, really stuck with the fact that their loot was fucking boring. And they knew it. It's like, it's just not interesting. Our belts have slightly more haste, slightly more crit. And that's just really fucking boring. But we've also kind of hamstrung ourselves by saying we're not going to have really cool, interesting items because it breaks the game.
Can't be too interesting and it can't be boring.
Right? So you've got this problem from 10 years ago rearing its ugly head, and then comes into Legion where they introduce the legendary items. And you'll be glad to know, I'm not going to play any more for you now. I do want you to watch it, because he does talk about Legion legendaries, which I think you'll find interesting. But what you will find is that he's not working at WoW at this time. They are communicating. And his feedback was that legendary acquisition was terrible.
Really?
Right? Sounds crazy to us. And people quitting the game because of how the legendary systems were dealt with. And he felt at the time that the way Blizzard was handling it was wrong. Or more specifically, the World of Warcraft team was handling legendaries wrong, although he liked what they were doing.
Okay.
Like the legendary items, having modifications to gameplay is a good way to go. Now, this is mostly my interpretation of it. I've only shown you like 30 minutes of this, 34 minutes. There's another 15 minutes of this. Plus, I've skipped big sections. So every single minute this guy is talking, he's talking about something interesting. Certainly in terms of deterministic and random.
We should watch that sometime.
The overall impression I got is one, I really like Travis. I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
He seems to be on most of the same wavelength. I disagree with some of the things he said. Certainly in terms of the badge system and being like, too complicated. It felt like it was a mess. I don't think it was. As a player at the time, I didn't think this was a problem.
No.
I genuinely didn't think this was a problem. Like, certainly not a train wreck of a system.
See, this is an example of, this is a developer problem. Because this doesn't look good from a design perspective, but it works. And I'll give you an example. Have you ever used duct tape to fix something? And then somebody who's trying to be a perfectionist complains that you used duct tape to fix it? But it fucking works. And sometimes, duct tape is all you need. Everybody's happy with duct tape. Duct tape makes perfect sense. Water, thank you again, man. Thank you again. 5 more. I don't even know how many that is so far, man. Thank you again. Thank you, Waterwise. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah. It fucking works.
It was actually relatively clear. It was like new tiers of content come with new badges. You can even downgrade those badges in order to do something else. And then Mythic Plus came in to match out that system. Like, I don't think it was that bad. And some of you will look to Valor points and things like that. But they do ultimately go into his final section of the talk, which is be generous. There it is. Be generous. Now, this is more in reference to Diablo 3, which is why I didn't want to show it in this video, because it'll be slightly out of context. But a lesson he learned was just throw a lot of loot at people while having 1 or 2 really rare items in there. So you talk about ancient armor in Diablo.
Man, how can you say Titanforging is bad and ancient armor isn't also bad? It's the same fucking thing. It's literally the same fucking thing. I mean, I can't see the difference there. The problem with Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls is that they were too generous. Everybody would get every item within like the first 2 weeks of playing in like, you know, by season 3 or season 4. And all you would do is just farm repeat items and you would just be fucking bored. So I can't see how that's a good idea.
Because people liked getting loot. But one thing he specifically mentions, and again, it's about Diablo, so I didn't want to really put it in and say this is like
not that one,
WoW
Jojo.
content, because it's not. But what they did find is this. When they quadrupled the amount of loot that was dropping in Reaper of Souls. They quadrupled it, so people were just getting shitloads of loot, which only really affected the high-end players in terms of them getting too much loot. The average user, which is what it says, like the casual player, was getting a good amount of items that they were okay with. Hardcore players were getting more than they were okay with, but there's so few of them in comparative to the most of the player base.
Then why were they quitting?
But the feedback was this, and he specifically goes out to say, you can't fix this problem. There's always a problem. Always. And they stopped getting feedback about can't find cool items because loot was dropping 4 times more than normal. People were loving it. Shinies all over the screen. Really cool. Then they started getting feedback saying, trying to find a better version of my cool item. Like, I can't find the really good piece, which is very relevant to BFA. Very, very relevant to BFA. So I wanted to draw awareness to this. I think it's really cool to look at the ideas Blizzard had in the background while a lot of this loot was, while our reward system was changing over the years and why they did it. A lot of it is very slapdash, actually. Very, like, haphazardly done. Like, what is a quick solution? Like, a quick and easy solution to our problem. And also some of it is very haphazard in terms of, like, in Diablo 3, it talks about they just doubled the loot system. And then when they were like, oh, we can't turn this off because people are loving it. So they doubled it again. Like, fuck it. Like, let's just see what happens. These sort of like swings of hammers that we talk about with Blizzard quite a lot. So I've linked this down below. I encourage you to watch it. I'm going to return to this later on, so please leave your feedback. I would love to see your thoughts on it. Again, this is just so interesting in terms of where we are in BFA. But I will point out that once again, this conference took place before Battle for Azeroth, and you would heavily find, if you watch this, as just as I did, a lot of conflicting ideas from the old school, which would be Travis, like the old school World of Warcraft loot and reward designers.
Yeah, the good version.
And how ass backwards it kind of seems to be BFA in some respects.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
See, this is what they have, right? This is the paradigm or the paradox with Azerite gear, you know? And here's the solution, is you just make a vendor. Like, you make a vendor, so if you can't find the cool item, you buy it with the vendor. You know, you have a secondary resource like Titan Residum. That was a solution. And Blizzard already found this solution. It's done, okay? Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, I mean, there it is. Making a vendor is lazy? I don't think so at all. I think that it's good. I like that. I think it should be a vendor. You think Vanilla had better with the badge vendor system? Like, I don't know. It's really kind of hard for me to say. I mean, I like both of them, but I would say the badge vendor system was probably, was better. I like that more. Yeah, Waterwise, again, with the 5 more subs. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. More like 5 months? Are you fucking serious? Wow, what the fuck? Like, this is Asmongold LMFAO. Like, I'm just sitting here.